Welcome to today's video, where we'll be diving deep into the insights and strategies from the book Exactly What to Say by Phil M. Jones. If you've ever wondered how you can improve your communication skills, influence conversations, or help guide people to make decisions, this book is a game changer. The focus here is simple yet profound. How the words we choose have immense power. Jones introduces a series of magic words that can transform how you interact with people in business, leadership, and everyday life. By the end of this video, you'll have a toolkit of phrases you can use in your conversations to make them more effective and impactful. Let's jump right in. At its core, Exactly What to Say teaches us that people are more likely to act based on how you frame your words. The way you present an idea can trigger curiosity, lower defenses, and encourage decision-making. Jones emphasizes that small changes in language can create massive shifts in how people perceive your message. So let's start with one of the most powerful phrases in the book. I'm not sure if this is for you, but this phrase is incredibly effective because it lowers the other person's resistance. No one likes to feel pressured into something, especially if it feels like a hard sell. By starting with, I'm not sure if this is for you, you give the listener the freedom to choose. You're acknowledging that the decision is ultimately theirs, which immediately takes away the pressure. But here's the magic. It also piques their curiosity. When you introduce the idea that something may not be for them, their natural instinct is to wonder if it actually is for them. This curiosity drives them to explore more without feeling like they're being sold to. Let's break this down a bit. Think about the last time someone tried to sell you something. If they were too pushy, you probably felt defensive or resistant, right? But when you feel like you're in control, when you get to make the choice on your own terms, it's much easier to be open to hearing what they have to say. That's why this phrase is so effective. It invites the other person into the conversation without creating barriers. Here's an example of how it works. Imagine you're speaking to a potential client and you say, I'm not sure if this is for you, but we've developed a new solution that could save your team hours every week. You've instantly taken the pressure off them, but you've also sparked their interest. Most people will respond with something like, oh, really? How does it work? And just like that, you've moved the conversation forward. Another key phrase that Jones introduces is, how open-minded are you? This one is pure gold for getting someone to lower their defenses and open up to new ideas. The reason it works so well is that no one wants to think of themselves as closed-minded. By asking them how open-minded they are, you're almost guaranteeing that they'll say they're open to hearing more. It's a subtle nudge that encourages them to listen without feeling like they're being forced into something. Let's think about the psychology behind this phrase. Human beings have an innate desire to see themselves in a positive light. We want to believe we're open to new ideas, that we're progressive in our thinking. So when someone asks us, how open-minded are you? It's a challenge that we instinctively want to rise to. We don't want to admit that we're closed off to possibilities, so we'll naturally say we're open to listening. Here's an example in action. How open-minded are you about trying a new approach to increase your productivity? You're not telling them what to do, you're simply inviting them to consider an alternative. It's non-confrontational, and it leaves the door open for a conversation rather than a hard push. Moving on, another fantastic phrase that Jones highlights is, what do you know about? This one is great for starting a conversation and gauging the other person's knowledge without coming across as a know-it-all. When you ask someone, what do you know about this? You're giving them the opportunity to share what they already understand. It's a much softer approach than just jumping in and telling them what you know, and it helps you avoid sounding condescending. Let's look at why this is so effective. People appreciate it when their knowledge or experience is acknowledged by asking, what do you know about? You're showing respect for what they already bring to the table. This also helps you gauge their level of understanding, which allows you to tailor your response accordingly. You might find out that they already know a lot about the topic, and you can adjust the conversation to go deeper. Or you might discover that they don't know much at all, giving you the opportunity to educate them without seeming overbearing. Here's how it sounds in practice. What do you know about using AI to streamline your workflow? With this question, you're inviting them into a dialogue rather than dictating the conversation. And it's a great way to build rapport while moving the conversation forward. Next, we have the phrase, "How would you feel if..." This is one of my personal favorites because it taps into emotions which are a huge driver of decision-making. People often make choices based on how they feel about something rather than purely on logic. By asking someone how they would feel in a certain situation, you're helping them visualize a positive outcome before they've even committed to it. Here's why this works so well. When people imagine themselves in a successful situation, they start to feel emotionally connected to that outcome. And when emotions are involved, people are more likely to take action. Asking someone, "How would you feel if you could finish that project in half the time?" gets them to picture themselves succeeding. It's a powerful way to get buy-in without pushing too hard. Let's think about this in a real-world example. If you're talking to someone about a product or service you offer, you could say, "How would you feel if you could save 2 hours every day by using this system?" You're encouraging them to mentally step into that scenario, and once they do, they're much more likely to see the value in what you're offering. Another phrase that's closely related is "just imagine." This is similar to "how would you feel if," but it goes a step further by creating a vivid picture in the listener's mind. When you ask someone to just imagine something, you're helping them see the potential benefits in a way that feels real. It's great for storytelling, presenting ideas, or getting people excited about possibilities. Let's take a moment to explore why visualization is so powerful. When people imagine something, their brains start to believe it's possible. By guiding someone through a mental image of success, you're helping them connect emotionally to that vision. And once they've emotionally invested in an idea, they're much more likely to follow through. For example, you could say, "Just imagine what your life would look like if you could automate half of your daily tasks." Now they're picturing a scenario where they're more efficient, less stressed, and accomplishing more. You've created an emotional connection to that vision, and now they're more open to exploring how to make it a reality. One of the final phrases I want to touch on is, "When would be a good time?" This one is fantastic for scheduling without being pushy. Instead of asking, "Can we meet tomorrow?" which can feel demanding, you're giving them the power to choose a time that works best for them. It's respectful of their schedule, and it subtly shifts the dynamic so they feel more in control. Here's how this works in practice. Let's say you're trying to set up a meeting with a client. Instead of saying, "We need to meet tomorrow," try, "When would be a good time for us to meet and discuss this further?" You're making the request feel less like an obligation and more like a collaboration, which increases the likelihood of a positive response. Let's summarize what we've covered so far. The phrases we've explored are powerful because they're subtle and respectful, yet they help you steer conversations in the direction you want. Whether you're in sales, management, or just having everyday conversations, these phrases can help you communicate more effectively, influence outcomes, and build better relationships. I'm not sure if this is for you, but how open-minded are you? What do you know about how would you feel? Just imagine. When would be a good time? Each of these phrases taps into basic human psychology. Curiosity, the desire to feel in control, emotional engagement, and the power of choice. They work because they're not about manipulation. They're about guiding conversations in a way that feels natural and respectful. The goal is to create win-win situations where both parties feel good about the interaction. Before we wrap up, it's important to remember that the magic of these phrases lies not just in the words themselves, but in how and when you use them. Practice is key. Start incorporating these phrases into your conversations and pay attention to how people respond. You'll likely notice that your conversations flow more smoothly and you'll be able to guide people toward decisions.